Hey, what's going on YouTube? Hobby Drew back here with another video, and today I have a Blu-ray video, a Blu-ray and DVD video, where I'm going to go over my rarest Vinegar Syndrome Blu-rays and DVDs. Some of you might be familiar out there with Vinegar Syndrome if you're in the Blu-ray and DVD game, but they're a boutique label that have been around for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years by this point. They pretty much specialize in forgotten B films, exploitation movies, regional horror films, things like this that have, oftentimes been forgotten or were like direct-to-video, products back in the 80s and 90s. They give them, lavish production, new restorations, a bunch of special features. They give them very cool slipcovers. As you can see here in the background, I have my Vinegar Syndrome mini slipcovers. I also have the Midsummer Special Edition, the Friday the 13th to fill out the background. But a lot of, with Vinegar Syndrome, a lot of their stuff is limited edition and can go out of print very quickly. Particularly in their early days, it was pretty common for them to do something on DVD and then do a very limited run on Blu-ray, sometimes even to like 1,000 copies or something like this. So Vinegar Syndrome, they're one of my very favorite boutique labels, and I have been collecting them for a number of years at this point. I do have a lot of the most rare stuff. So, for my inaugural Blu-ray video, DVD video here, just going to kind of rip through some of my most valuable Vinegar Syndrome titles. I actually haven't priced a lot of these out in some time. I was familiar with their pricing as of like, a year or so ago, but I haven't looked recently. So some of these may have altered prices, but I'll kind of just, do my best in terms of evaluating them. But first of all here, I have the Vice Academy 1 through 3. This is the VSA, which is basically a subline that Vinegar Syndrome started doing. I think it stands for Vinegar Syndrome Archive. And a lot of these actually are out of print. I think they've had about 10 or 12 of these titles at this point. This was one of the very first ones. But, this was kind of a beloved title. These used to come on USA Channel very late at night, back in the 90s. A lot of people my age are used to seeing these a million times over when they were a kid. So for these to get like a really nice special edition, limited edition treatment from Vinegar Syndrome is a really cool thing. You guys can see here, the poster comes with it. It's a Blu-ray and DVD, I think, or 2 Blu-rays for 3 movies. I'm not sure which one it is, but these Vinegar Syndrome archive titles are all slipped up with this very unusual slipcover. I think it's supposed to replicate a VHS tape. I think it's really cool though. That's the most valuable of all of those Vinegar Syndrome archives that have gone out of print, I think. I think that's still the most valuable one. This right here is one of the drive-in collection titles. I believe, it's number 2. It's the spine number 2. So this was a very, very early release for Vinegar Syndrome. It doesn't look like it's individually numbered, but this one is super rare. It might be the rarest of all of these that I have, actually, because this title, Savage Water, I believe this DVD was pulled very, very shortly after its release because there was a rights issue with this Savage Water. I don't know if it came from the filmmakers or the rights owners, but there was some problem that got brought to Vinegar Syndrome's attention, and they had to pull this DVD from distribution almost immediately. So I think there are very, very few copies of this in circulation right now. They did another drive-in collection title with this Death by Invitation and another movie, and they were able to re-release this that way. But this Savage Water is still nowhere to be found other than this very rare release. It's Savage Water. It's not a very good movie. It's one of these, really, really Z-level regional horror films. You kind of hate to say this, but I mean, probably forgotten for a very good reason. But nonetheless, as a Vinegar Syndrome aficionado, so to speak, I do see it as my duty to have this title in my collection. So going up next, this is one of my favorites. This is Runaway Nightmare. I believe this one is individually numbered. Yeah, right here, 951 out of 1,000. So there were only 1,000 copies of this. This is a, I still have it sealed up here. I've definitely watched it. I slipped the disc out of here and put it back in. I like to keep those top labels on if I can. I don't think that this one ever came in a cellophane wrapper. But this is one of those weird titles that they released readily available on DVD, only did a limited edition on Blu-ray. This one was very, very expensive at one point. I mean, I think this one was even getting up to like a couple of $100s at one point in time. A very desired title for Vinegar Syndrome fans. It's a crazy fucking movie. I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it's almost like part film noir, part like something like The Room, just incomprehensibly alien bad. And then it's like got some David Lynch qualities to it. I don't even know. You guys just have to watch this one. I think it's completely, absolutely crazy. This is a really beautiful Blu-ray by Vinegar Syndrome. I remember I watched this for the first time. I couldn't believe how good the picture quality looked. These next two titles go together, kind of. These were released, I think, at the same time. This is The Executioner Part 2 and Murderous Intent and Fright House. This is a DVD, of course. This is a Blu-ray, and they have released a DVD of this as well, similar to Runaway Nightmare, that is readily available. But the Blu-ray was very limited. As you guys can see here, actually, 173 of 550. So there were only 550 of this Executioner Part 2. And there is another movie included on here, Frozen Scream. I think it's from the same filmmaker. I haven't watched Frozen Scream. I've seen the Executioner Part 2 a couple times. It's completely crazy. I would recommend that everyone get a copy of this, whether you can get the Blu-ray or you have to settle for the DVD. If you're a Vinegar Syndrome collector, this is an essential title in my opinion. Murderous Intent and Fright House is a little more unusual. This is a regional. I think the guy is a Baltimore filmmaker from the 70s. He made these two very, very low budget. I think they might have even been incompleted films. And this, of course, never got any kind of release other than this. These were both released, I think, on the Indiegogo platform, the fundraising platform, under their exploitation TV line. I think this is when they had actually a pay TV channel with a lot of this exploitation content on it. And they did an Indiegogo to release these titles. So these were some of their very, very earliest titles. Very, very long out of print. You only got them if you participated in the Indiegogo campaign. But yeah, these in my opinion are very essential for the Vinegar Syndrome collector. They're not great movies, but they're certainly interesting in the way that a lot of Vinegar Syndrome's movies are very interesting, very quirky, very offbeat, not particularly good in the classical sense of the word, but you know, if you're an adventurous film goer. My cat is back there knocking over stuff off the oven, so I apologize for that. Please disregard that. I have a big mess to clean up when I'm done with this. Okay. So the next one is the Jekyll and Hyde portfolio and A Clockwork Blue. This is a double feature from this filmmaker. I can't remember his name here. Eric Jeffrey Hames. I have to be honest with you, I've actually not watched either of these films. I believe that they're both rated X, but I don't think that they are erotica films. I think that they're like hardcore genre film. I don't know what they are. They look like horror films. This, as you can see, 954 out of 1,000. So this is a very limited one as well. I think this one was going for really, really big money at one point in time. You do have the DVD and the Blu-ray, so this is a dual format copyright here. Yeah, this was one that I got really, really interested in. I was able to track. I definitely missed this one when it first came out, and I was able to track down a copy of it from another collector. And one of those weird things, probably if you collect Blu-rays, you know, you get really interested in a title, it's out of print, you end up, waiting, spending a bunch of money for it, and then you get it, and then you forget about it completely. So I haven't watched it yet. I'm still interested in watching these. I've heard interesting things about these films, but I haven't watched them yet. But it's a very rare one. These next couple are a little bit different too. These were not a part of the Vinegar Syndrome line proper. These were a part of their sub-label. I think you can't read it here, but they're called Etiquette Pictures. I think they only did 3 or 4 titles. But these have all gone out of print. They're very rare. I haven't watched this Catch My Soul yet. This is still in the original wrapping. This one I'm a big, big fan of. Some call it Loving. This stars Zalman King, who you guys may know. He's like the guy that did all the Red Shoe Diaries, that softcore pornography Showtime thing back in the day. And he was an actor too, and he acts in this. And I think it's directed by this guy, James B. Harris, who actually I think was maybe Stanley Kubrick's cinematographer or assistant director maybe. He had some first-hand connection with Stanley Kubrick, and then he started making movies himself. This is a really, really, really strange movie, though. I'm a big, big fan of this. I actually think it's a very, very good movie. So I'm really glad that I have this one. This one is very, very hard to find. This Catch My Soul I haven't watched yet, but I've heard good things about it, but it's hard to find as well. I want to get all of the Etiquette Pictures Blu-rays. I know that I'm missing the documentary on Dennis Hopper. I think it's called The American Dreamer, and that's just like stupid expensive right now. I've not come across a very reasonably priced copy of that yet, but I do intend to pick it up at some point. And then the final one that I have here to go over, this is kind of a really oddball one. This is something that was released, I think, back in 2017. And this is basically a DVD catalog. So you have here kind of a catalog of all of the titles in the Vinegar Syndrome collection, but I think that this is, I haven't opened this up yet. I got a copy of it, but I think that it's basically a DVD version of the catalog. So in other words, it has all the trailers for these films and little descriptions. So if you don't want to flip through a catalog, you can kind of flip through all the trailers with this. I think it's like 3 discs. It's got a lot of content on it, actually. But this, I think, is pretty rare collector's item. You know, they only did this the 1 year where they had this catalog and DVD manufactured. And then the next year, they did just this catalog, which is the same thing, of course. And these are very, like, nice quality. I mean, it's like thick cardstock, kind of like a, you know, they feel very durable, and they're actually fun to flip through. And they never did these again, and I don't know why. I think that, you know, they probably lost money on it, but I think these are super cool. I'm glad they did them for at least these couple of years, but really, I'm including it for this DVD right here, which is technically speaking, you know, a Vinegar Syndrome DVD product, but it's definitely hard to come by these days. So I do want to say really quickly, I do have a pretty massive Vinegar Syndrome collection. I did leave out the slip covers from this video. I am going to do a different video in the future about my rarest slip covers, because I only buy Vinegar Syndrome editions that have the slip covers on them. So I will be doing a separate video at some point going through all of my rarest slip covers. I could have easily added, you know, 10, 20, 30 slip covers that are out of print and very expensive into this video, but I kind of just wanted to lead this to the discs themselves that are valuable and out of print, because the slip covers is kind of like a packaging thing. But in any case, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, keep your eyes out for the future. I will do a slipcover video. I do plan on coming back in the next week or so, hopefully, and doing a sports card video. And I'll probably, I got like a million different ideas for Blu-ray videos, so I'm going to keep doing these. So if you guys enjoyed this, go ahead and drop a like, drop a comment maybe, or a subscription. I did just get my first subscriber to this channel, so I know that there's at least one person who has watched something out there of these videos. But if you guys did check this out and enjoyed it, let me know. I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, it's Friday here, so have a great weekend, and I'll be back with another video soon.